The injuries in the 2025 season for the WNBA have gone up 138% from 2023. So let's talk about the reasons why. So I have actually been wondering this for a few weeks now because it feels like I'm seeing so many players being put on the injury report. Underdog is like one of the places on social media that updates the status of the injuries for each team. And I'm just constantly getting these notifications. And again, I don't remember this from like years past. So it did get me wondering, like, what were the stats for the years past? And like, are there as many players going out for injury as there were last season or the season before, etc.? And apparently, from Lucas Seehofer, PhD, the injuries have affected game, and this is just for May, okay? The beginning of the WNBA season, because that's what we have just finished right now. According to this person, the injuries for 2023 in May were 26. The injuries in 2024 were 50. That went up kind of a lot. And the injuries in 2025 were 62. And it's actually broken down even more, which is very fascinating. So apparently there are 62 total injuries, 325 games lost, and the teams with the most injured players are the Golden State Valkyries, the Phoenix Mercury, and the Washington Mystics. The most games lost are the Storm, and I'm assuming that's because Nika Mule and Jordan Horston are both out for the entire season. The fewest injuries are Chicago and Las Vegas, and the fewest games lost are the Lynx. Now, the most injured body part is interesting because this is a gender thing, and it's the knee, because women so often get their knees injured way easier than men, even their ACLs. There's actually a lot of money being put into studies now, studying why women do injure their ACLs so much easier than men. And, I've been thinking about this for a few weeks. I've been thinking about why there are so many players going out with injury. And I think that there are a number of reasons, and I'm going to list out some of them, and you guys can let me know what you think. Okay. One reason, players are playing harder. This has been the most anticipated season of any WNBA season that I think has maybe when the WNBA first started out in the 90s, I know that there was a lot of momentum for it. I wasn't really around back then to actually witness or understand the gravity of what was happening then. I remember when it started, I just wasn't old enough to understand it, but I certainly do understand it today. And I have to tell you, the anticipation for the 2025 season wasn't like any season in the WNBA that I personally remember. And if I'm a player in the WNBA and I know that all these eyes are watching me, I am definitely going to play harder and make sure that I, with everybody watching me, that I show my best play. So potentially, there could be an aspect to a player wanting to prove themselves in front of the increasing visibility, in front of the eyes, and that leads to easier injuries. Number 2, roster depth. With only 12 players available per WNBA team to play, the roster depth is not as deep, so a lot of players are forced to play more minutes per game. And the WNBA season is not very long, so the game schedule is a lot tighter, so they are just going in a lot of back-to-backs. And anybody that understands the muscular system knows that when you overstimulate or you overexert your muscles, and bones and your body in general, there is more propensity to injure said body, muscle, bone, etc. 3, playing in leagues prior to the WNBA season. And this includes players going overseas, and it includes players that took part in this year's Unrivaled League. So I actually looked on ESPN, and apparently out of the 20 players that are currently on the injury list right now, 7 of them took part in Unrivaled. That's almost 1/3 of the players on the injury list having taken part in Unrivaled by itself. Jordan Canada, she is out with a knee injury. Layla Lacan. Now, Layla Lacan, apparently, according to ESPN, is out for overseas commitments. Lindsay Allen is out with a left hamstring. Taisha Harris is out. Paige Becker, she has a concussion protocol. Tiffany Hayes, she was in Unrivaled. Sophie Cunningham, we all know the ankle injury. Caitlin Clark, left quad. Megan Gustafson, Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, Rickea Jackson, she was an unrivaled. Ray Burrell, she was an unrivaled. Cameron Brink. And this is another good thing. Another thing to note is that the players that came directly from the NCAA got like literally no rest and started playing in the WNBA. Like Cameron Brink got injured last season, going down with an ACL injury. She went directly from college to the pros, didn't get much of a rest. Niara Sabally is out with a knee injury, and Niara Sabally did also play overseas. Natasha Mack, I can't remember if she played anywhere overseas. But Alyssa Thomas, she's out. She had that crazy like bone popping out. I don't even know what it was. I think she refused to speak on it. Kalani Brown is day to day. I think that she might have gone out. You know what? I can't remember. We can come back to that. Kalia Copper, she went out with a knee injury. She also played an unrivaled. Katie Lou Samuelson, she unfortunately went out with an ACL injury, and she also played an unrivaled. And Georgia Amore, she went out with an ACL injury before the season started, and she was in the NCAA, going straight into the WNBA. There are 3 players off the top of my head that I can also remember are out, and that is Nika Mule. She tore her ACL in a game in Turkey overseas, and Jordan Horston, who tore her ACL also, and she actually was playing AU, and it was the beginning of the AU season, and she went out. Those 2 will be out for the entire season, and the 3rd player is Betnijah Laney Hamilton, who got injured in unrivaled. The way that the WNBA goes, though, the WNBA is not a league that pays their players a lot of money. So a lot of players are kind of like forced to go overseas or forced to play in, other leagues just to like maintain a decent salary. And because a lot of these players are kind of like spread out across the world and across other leagues, there isn't like a consistent ability to monitor each player's health. So that does like create a bit more of an uptick in the injury status. And at number 4, load management. And the reason I'm saying this is because there have been a lot of players that have gone out and come back in with minor injuries. So I think that a lot of the teams might be thinking to rest their players early in the season as opposed to like allowing them to play through some of these more minor injuries. Although I have to say, I don't exactly know what is going on with Rickea Jackson, because there is obviously something going on between Rickea Jackson and the Los Angeles Sparks. She took the Los Angeles Sparks out of her bio today on social media and unfollowed the team. Even the coach of the Sparks mentioned something about it in a presser yesterday. There's actually a lot of fan bases on the Bring Rickea Jackson On Over campaign. I don't really know much about that right now, so I won't speak to it. And I just have to mention this. A 4th reason, possibility for all of these injuries could have a little bit to do with the officiating. We all know that the WNBA is a physical league. Absolutely, it is a physical league, but I think when the officiating allows a certain physicality to certain players and certain teams, and definitely like calls fouls on if you breathe on another player of another team, that doesn't really set a good precedent for like how physical you should be allowing each player in each team to be with each other. I think we can all cite the example of the physicality that was allowed in the Atlanta Fever game. And then when the Liberty played the Golden State Valkyries, like a lot of people think that the Liberty won because of all the fouls that were given to Breanna Stewart. She was at the line 19 times, which Breanna Stewart by herself went to the line more than the entire Golden State Valkyries team. Now, that's not saying that she wasn't like getting fouled, because I think she was, but I also think that watching the game, at least the first half that I watched, it just seemed a little inconsistent in like the fouls that were being given. So not exactly the most impactful reason for a lot of injuries for this season, just something to look at as to why there might be an uptick in the injuries. But really, honestly, if you look at like when the big jump happened, it was from 2023 to 2024. Because in 2024, there were less roster spots. There are now 156 roster spots. Last year, there were 144. Ergo, by default, there will be like a few more injuries. But from 26 to 50, so in 2023, there were 26 injuries. And to jump to 50 in 2024, I really think that one of the biggest reasons is playing harder, proving yourself on that court in front of a lot more eyes. And that is kind of where the officiating does come into play, because the officiating should be determining like how hard you can play, how physical you can get, and what is allowed. It's kind of like a causation correlation argument, but I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to know what you guys think and why you guys think there are more injuries this season. Are there reasons maybe that there are more injuries that I didn't mention in the video? Just go ahead and let me know in the comments. And I will be going live tonight for the Fever, running it back with the Washington Mystics with Ari McDonald on the court. So jump in the live. That's tonight at 7:30, and I will hopefully see you then.